Dance, dance, everybody dance on a toilet and hold pizzas in your hand.
Welcome to the Keep Baseball Great podcast, where we're all about reminding baseball fans why they love the game. In this episode, we're going to talk with Coach Ballgame. From fun nicknames to silly songs, Coach Ballgame is creating a unique and memorable baseball moments for kids. You will for sure have a smile in this episode from everything he does, but some of the stories he tells us along his journey. So sit back and enjoy this episode. Well, hey, Coach, thanks so much for joining me on the Keep Baseball Great podcast. It's a pleasure having you.
Oh, man. Thanks for having me, Drew. This is a great deal, keeping baseball great.
That's right. So, man, Keep Baseball Great's all about reminding old guys like me why we love the game, but you're all about creating that love with players. And so I I found your content and I was like, man, our two worlds collide in such a rounded way that I was like, man, I got to have you on. Um, you've been able to partner with MLB on several things, and just the content that you do. I followed it, and just as a baseball fan, couldn't stop watching just because it made me smile and enjoy the game just watching it. But um, what you're doing is refreshing, and I love it. So thanks for that. But before we jump into our five questions, I'd love to hear a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you do it.
Yep. Well, it's nice and refreshing to hear a baseball fan like you and a baseball lover, go down my wormhole of video content on YouTube and Instagram. That it's kind of my way of marrying all my interests of music and art and creativity with baseball and kids. So yeah, that's always good to hear that kids are watching it, but the parents are watching it as well. I think that's kind of my idea behind it. But yeah, Coach Ballgame is I'm a baseball coach. I'm a youth coach, and um, I I started out as a bad one. Right out of college, I would say I was pretty negative, and I wasn't having any fun. They weren't having any fun, and I had some good teachers along the way that taught me how to coach with positive reinforcement and getting to know each player and meeting each player on their own playing field. So, in 16 years of progression, I've learned some tricks on how to engage newcomers and make them want to come back. I look through this lens of am I making this kid want to come back next year and play? And am I making them a better person, building their character? And if those two things are in line, well, then they'll learn the skills and they'll have an outrageous amount of fun doing it. So I use what I call the Sandlot, which is my daily routine. I go to a different town every day and I drop some bases, and I run these Sandlot games, pickup games for beginners, intermediates, advanced, and it's just a reminder of it's all about the love of the game. It's all about fun, and you're not allowed to get burnout. You're not allowed to get upset after a loss. The wins, the losses, the strikeouts, that comes secondary. The person is what I look at first, making sure they're having fun, making sure they feel welcome, and make sure that they're becoming a better person. That's way more important for me as a coach than wins, losses, and advancing the skills. So yeah, that's kind of Coach Ballgame in a nutshell. And we can unpack that even more because I love to throw in all my different interests into my job. I love music, so I bring my guitar and my drums, and I write songs about Andre Dawson and Roberto Clemente and Rod Carew and my favorite players, and I sing these songs to the kids. I come up with poems and little jingles um, about the different skills that I teach
Mm.
because that's how they remember it. They don't remember things when you're yelling at them or being negative at them. They remember positive, joyful experiences. And for kids, I've noticed they really respond to animal references, things that rhyme, things that have a melody, and wackiness. Those are kind of the four go-tos that I
That's
go with,
awesome.
and all of that kind of encapsulates Coach Ballgame with the fedora kind of fun party vibe. My mom is from Puerto Rico. Her family is from there, so
Okay.
it brings in that Puerto Rican vibe
Yeah.
as well. An ode to Roberto Clemente. So yeah, that's Coach Ballgame.
No, I love it. I actually was just talking to somebody else on another podcast about just my progress as a dad. So my son's in 14U baseball right now, and man, I got stuck in that where it's like fun, couple years. Oh, it's getting serious, more serious. Now it's super serious, and then I hit this point where like, oh my gosh, like I've got to like start throwing fun stuff back at my son so he enjoys it and doesn't feel that pressure of
There
that.
is a
So
balance. There's a fine line, and
yeah.
I encourage travel ball to an extent, especially for the elite player, because they need to be challenged.
Hmm.
But at the same time, they need to also be becoming well-rounded as an athlete, trying to play other sports and keeping it fresh. You want them eager to go to the field.
Yeah.
You don't want to be dragging them. So
Yeah.
um, I think if a coach's mind is in the right place, travel ball is a great thing. But when it's all about game after game after game, Tommy John after Tommy John after Tommy John, no good.
Missing out on something if that's happening for sure.
Right.
For sure. Well, that's awesome. I love it, and I know that kind of spoke to what we're doing at Keep Baseball Great, and so that's why we wanted to have you on. But we always ask 5 questions to our guests, and I kind of, people ask me, "Why do you love baseball so much?" And I was like, stumble around on the answer, but I kind of narrowed it down to like these 5 things are kind of at the base of what and why I love baseball. So I love asking other people these questions. So you ready for them?
You bet.
All right, let's do it. So the first one is all about the history of the game. I love that baseball has such a rich history and there's so many great moments. But what are some of your favorite baseball historical moments and why?
Well, the first moment I can remember watching a baseball game was the Kirk Gibson home run.
Mm,
And I don't remember the sounds really of the Vin Scully or the Jack Buck call, but I can remember a visual of seeing that game and just kind of remembering the essence of joy that was displayed on that TV screen in my living room in North Carolina, watching the game with my dad and my brother in the living room, and you know Tommy Lasorda's arms up like this, Kirk Gibson's move right here,
yeah.
even Dennis Eckersley's head swivel to see the ball go out, like as a baseball lover, I can remember those pictures in my brain. So that was kind of the first time I said I love watching this, and I love the joy
Mm,
that's coming about. Another moment I recall is I think in '89 watching WGN. I grew up a Cubs fan because
hmm.
I'd come home from school and they'd be playing those day games at Wrigley. And Mark Grace hit for the cycle. I know it was a home game at Wrigley in the afternoon, sometime in 1989, and and I just remember that game and that day, and loved Mark Grace, loved Ryan Sandberg, but my favorite player growing up was Andre Dawson. So I would come home from school, I would take a huge jug of applesauce and pour it into a huge bowl. I would enjoy the entire bowl of applesauce, and I would watch the game in its entirety. So
Mm,
Harry Carey calling a baseball game for a little 7, 8-year old in North Carolina. with a big bowl of applesauce, life was good, man. So
That's
those are
awesome.
some moments watching the game of baseball. I think the first moment I really fell in love with playing the game was when I was 11. I hit a walk-off home run in an all-star game. And again, I don't really remember the sounds, but I remember the mental pictures of the ball actually hitting the top of the fence and bouncing
Mm.
over my teammates running out of the dugout as I'm rounding second base. Um, the heads dropping from the other team. Those pictures, I guess they never go away, man.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny. My greatest little league moment was getting the wooden coin for my free snow cone, man. That's about all I could do.
How great is that, though, man? Oh,
No,
yeah.
that's what's funny about the things you remember. But I love that. That's funny. I've had talked to several guys on the podcast, and that Dodger game has probably got brought up 2 or 3 times. Just how
It,
great and exciting moment it was.
It's a great moment, and for our generation, our age group, I was 6, and most of us young dads, middle age dads. I mean, that was our prime
Hmm.
moment, and that was just a big deal. And it took me a while to figure out that was just game one.
Yeah, right,
That wasn't a
right.
game 7 bomb.
Yeah.
So yeah, and Tommy Lasorda just passed away. So that's really fresh in my mind, that
Hmm.
that that joy that he brought, the passion he had, the energy every day for the game of baseball.
Yeah.
He's definitely one of my big motivators. I've got his book, My Way, right
Mm,
behind me here. And he did it his way, no doubt about it.
that's awesome. I love that. I love that. Well, you kind of touched on this earlier about watching games with your family. I know family and friends have a big part in what make baseball great for me. So, share some special moments you might have with family or friends through baseball.
Yep. Well, my dad built this big green wall in the backyard, and we would be able to throw tennis balls up against the green wall. And he actually painted a strike zone on the green wall. So, my brothers would pitch to me, the neighbors would come over as well. And we couldn't use a real baseball because the house was maybe 100 feet away. So we would try to hit the tennis ball over the house. We had a tree right hanging over third base, so we really couldn't pull the ball. Funny enough, it taught us how to hit the ball to center field and the opposite gap. So that was good for us long term. But just again, those mental pictures of seeing him in his jean shorts with his headband, um, teaching us his batting stance and talking about all of his heroes growing up. And then my 2 older brothers, they were much older, 9 years and 11 years older, but they kind of treated me as, that little baby brother that they wanted to mold into a pro. And along with our neighbors, we would just play sandlot games in the backyard all the time. My dad even built a little pitcher's mound for us. Um, so that that was the first sandlot I ever played in,
Mm,
and I got to just go out my door in my house and go to it. So that was big. My dad also played slow pitch softball with both my brothers, and I was the bat boy. So
nice.
I kind of learned a lot of the ins and outs of dugout humor, and the behind the scenes of baseball, through being a bat boy for my dad's softball team. Yeah.
That's funny. That's funny. I yeah, so my older brother and we would go outside, and we didn't have that big of a space to hit in. So I don't know if you remember these, it was like a Nerf koosh ball is what they called it. It's kind of rubber bands.
Yep.
Anyway, so we ended up playing with that and a Nerf bat, and it was like the perfect distance. But that was our sandlot out in the front of the house. So
So great, so
I know
good. Yeah, but
I love
those are the
memories like that.
moments. Yeah, those are the moments that give you those memories. And
Mm.
um, I think now that I'm coaching kids in the same kind of forum, just no dugouts, not a lot of dirt. Some it's just patches of grass with a backstop, but that that laid back pickup feel, it gives a lot of freedom to just
Mm.
play and create. And I get messages from parents all the time, like the fun things that you do at Sandlot, all the positivity that is spread. I know I'm not going to see that in my local little league, but hopefully it'll carry over, and
Mm.
these kids can bring that positivity to a normal little league. And hey, that's the goal. That's my ultimate goal, is to bring the Sandlot vibe to all the little leagues and youth leagues around the country, and just have coaches and parents realize, big picture,
Yeah.
what's important.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. That kind of leads us into the next question in terms of life lessons being taught through baseball, and I know it's a big thing that I cut on too late with my son. I was all like, skill and how good are you, instead of this coach just cut him, and learning from that. And so it's a big thing that I hope a lot of people start to grab onto a little bit more, especially parents. But what are some life lessons that you've just been able to grab onto, or maybe even that you are able to pass on at your camps and Sandlot games?
They're really endless. There's so
Mm.
many. One that comes to mind right off the bat is just the idea of uh, person before player. And uh, I had it with some of my great coaches that looked at me and my character and the choices I made as paramount above my play and my errors and my hits and my home runs and my wins, was just what kind of person I was. And my dad instilled that in me in Little League. I stormed off the field after a strikeout, and I was just wanting to throw a fit and cry. And he came in and he let me know, this is not what a ball player does.
Mm.
Win, lose, or draw, you've got to be a good teammate. So
Yeah.
um, I grabbed onto that as a player, and now that I'm a coach, I tell kids all the time, you can go 0 for 5 with 5 strikeouts, but you're going to help your team win by diving and making a great catch in right field. Um, Way more important than yourself, the team before self,
Hmm.
and the person, the heart, the choices that you make above the play. So um, building that character, the awards I give out at the end of every practice or Sandlot or camp, is the Hustle Award, just choosing to hustle to your positions. The Down and Ready Award, and I call it dancing on a toilet. It's one of those fun things I add into my skill development. Instead of saying down and ready, I'll say dance on a toilet, and they get this visual of them, sitting on a toilet and then dancing while they're holding pizzas in their hand. And I wrote a song, uh, dance, dance, everybody dance on a toilet and hold pizzas in your hand. And the kids will go home singing that song,
So
and
great.
they remember it. They love it.
Mm.
Um, the Pay Attention Award is a big one, and I call it uncomfortable eye contact. If you're giving the coach or the teacher uncomfortable eye contact, um, then you're a ball player. And kids at a very young age, they respond to um, awards. So I'm
Mm.
giving out baseball cards left and right. Now, a lot of them are like Donruss 1992, uh, you know, uh, Joey Bell baseball cards, and they're loving it. They think it's gold. So
Hmm.
there's going to be a documentary down the road where these kids in Orange County just have bags and bags of 1991 Donruss baseball cards. So yeah, endless. Every day I find a new um, life lesson, but that's been the bummer with the quarantine, and it's driven me to, as best we can, keep everything safe, so kids can interact and socialize, because it doesn't really happen over Zoom or the
Mm.
computer, like having 12, 13 kids in a place where they can all get to know each other, learn each other's nicknames, listen to each other, kind of create this music together with positivity and kindness at the forefront. It needs to happen in person. And so, yeah, I think life lessons galore. So many more too. So many, team before self, and overcoming obstacles. I've got salutes for kind of each great thing that happens at a baseball camp. One of them is the bounce back salute. If somebody falls down but then gets back up, or maybe they get hit by the pitch, bounce back salute. Eye black salute. If somebody's just being super tough. Mustache salute. If somebody is making an epic play. We've got the mullet salute. We've got the head first slide salute, the feet first slide salute, the bravery salute, the sportsmanship salute. If you're being a kind and maybe giving somebody an elbow,
Mm,
saying "good try, get him next time" after a strikeout. So I have a lot of energy, and I try to leave it all on the field when I'm coaching, with all of those life lessons. So if I see one small positive thing happening, I stop the game. I let everybody know that's going
mm,
on, and I make sure that kid gets a baseball card, or at least an attaboy or an attagirl. Um, and then, ultimately, I think something that just kind of came organically is the attaboy challenge that I do, or the attagirl challenge, where kids will come up and they just scream attaboy or attagirl back and forth to each other. Uh, that's it, finding that joy, and being able to be loud, but in a positive
mm.
tone versus a negative.
Yeah.
Um, that's a great character trait to learn. So, um, yeah, lots of life lessons.
Yeah, so good. I know it's kind of a lost art, so to speak, in terms of a skill. Part of a skill of a baseball player is use your character, and kids being taught that is just kind of missed out a lot.
Yeah, I tell this guy's story
Mm,
as much as I can, and I wrote a song um, about him that really digs home for each kid, like what really matters. And the fact that he died doing humanitarian work for people that had just had an earthquake. There's an award named after him for the kindness and the character that he had. This guy, Ozzie Smith, name drop salute. I met him, and he signed my baseball, and it's his favorite award. It's Albert Pujols' favorite award. It's everybody who gets its favorite award. So, um, yeah, what a guy to kind of introduce to a young ball player at a young age.
yeah.
And they go home and they study this guy, and then their parents tell stories about Roberto Clemente. And that's what's so lovely about what we do is, working with kids. It's going to go into the home, and hopefully it'll build their relationship, and then from there it builds the community up, and makes the community a better place. And that's why my big mission down the road, is to kind of do what I'm doing now, but on a macro level all around the country.
Mm,
I run sandlots in a different town in Orange County, California, every day of the week. Now I'd like to do that in every town in America,
hmm.
just because what a positive impact that could have on each little community. And so that's the goal. Hopefully, somebody will say, "Hey, here's some money. Get you a mobile home. Get you a film crew, and go do it."
Let's do it.
And I'm waiting on that call. But in the meantime, I'll keep doing what I'm doing.
Oh, that's fantastic. I should have worn I created a shirt because I love Roberto Clemente also. But it's in the Pirates font, but it says legend and then has 21 on it. Just
Beautiful.
like I'm all about retiring 21, and I love everything about it. So I echo everything you just said about that. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Barrio San Antonio, Puerto Rico was the home of my grandpa's lifelong hero. Clemente was his name. Um, I have a whole poem and a song that I do for all the kids, and they'll be clapping while we're singing the song. But one of the best moments of that song for me is he used a lemon for a ball, a stick for a bat. He showed respect for his mom, and he worked hard for dad. Roberto's my hero, and it really touches home with each kid. I'm lucky. I've got a real bat and a real baseball and a
Yeah.
real glove, and this guy was using a branch from a guava tree and a fruit from a tree, and he was happy, and so yeah, just love me some Roberto as well.
Yeah. Well, and that, for our fourth question, it's all about giving back, and that's kind of what he, was all known for, and what we all love him for. And so, uh and I know you give back in such a unique way to your community and things like that, but share a little bit, just some moments of giving back through baseball that just have made an impact on you.
Well, I'll tell you something that made a personal impact on me. I've got a guitar that I've gotten to know Albert Pujols really well, and he's a great guy, and his wife. They do great work for the Pujols Family Foundation, working with kids with Down syndrome and impoverished kids in the Dominican. But they had a fundraiser, and uh, Dee Dee, Albert's wife, bid um, a lot of money to get this guitar that had Albert painted on it, Kermit the Frog, Big Bird, and the Count.
Okay.
And it was a lot of money raised for their foundation. But she gets up to the stage and she says, "There's this little league coach that makes me laugh on Instagram, and he needs to travel the world with this thing." And she gave it to me.
Wow.
And, it was a crazy moment because it's like Joe Madden and Tony La Russa and, Albert, they're all there, and they're like, "Attaboy, nice job." I was like, this is heaven right now.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
that gift of a guitar, I play it at all my camps. I travel around with it, and, just to spread some joy. Another thing that came our way is a family in Northern California. They they saw one of my videos, and the father, it was about 75, 80-year old, was dying of cancer, but he was a lifelong baseball fan, a lifelong Pittsburgh Pirates fan, loved Roberto Clemente. So he really responded to my documentary on YouTube. And when he died, the family uh, created this fundraiser, they wanted it to be something to be used in baseball for kids. And they called me out of the blue and said, "We're going to raise some money for you to do with what you wish." And they raised over $20,000 and just sent it to me and said, "We trust you. Do what you wish with it." Buppa is the nickname of the grandfather that passed away. He's upstairs watching, and I know he'll love what you do with it. So with COVID, we haven't been able to use much of it, but the plan is to just jump into different inner cities and places that need
Mm.
resources and run sandlots, build up the baseball communities there, build fields, give them equipment. Um, but that act of kindness to just pretty much blindly say, "Here, we've raised some funds, go do your thing." Um, it's just a lesson in
Mm.
how much giving uh, matters way more than receiving, and the joy that you get from those gifts. So it inspired me to want to give out some of my coloring books. I have this uh, Coach Ballgame coloring book. We got thousands of these, and I went around to the different boys and girls clubs and just gave them out, because it's like, people are giving me some stuff, I need to be giving away
Mm.
stuff as well. So um, yeah, super fun to do it. And you just, whenever something really awesome comes your way, you got to learn from it and then pay it forward.
Yeah, yeah. That's, kind of one thing as I start to talk to guys through the podcast and things, that the baseball community it's just a real tight knit community that loves to give and give back. And one of the things I love about it, but that speaks volumes to you and to the baseball community. So that's incredible. I'm kind of blown away by
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. I mean, for me, that's what baseball stands for, is this guy, and, breaking barriers with Jackie, and with humanitarianism with this guy. And, I think that's what a kid should grow up knowing
Mm.
is, if you're going to be a major league baseball player, then character comes first, and the choices that you make are impactful and they're meaningful. Um, and look up to these heroes, because they're watching.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, our last question, and this is what you are all about, and it's fun, having fun. And so, just tell me what's some of your most fun moments. I'm sure you've got tons of them, but just kind of give me some of your most fun moments through baseball you've been able to have.
Yeah, well, I've always loved music. My parents got me a drum set when I was 3, so I always tell the kids, learn an instrument, because the most fun I have, and I still feel like a kid when I'm doing one thing, and that's playing drums in my band. Um, is I bring a conga, and I bring a cajon, and I put them in the on deck circle. And sometimes I'll even bring my full drum set and put it in the on deck circle. But that's the on deck drum, and it gets the kids out of the dugout, and it gets them cheering for the batter, because they're the on deck drummer. So I think I learned that watching the World Baseball Classic, and seeing all the different
Oh
countries,
yeah.
and the fans that came to that. They all had instruments, and they're singing and they're dancing, and it's like, we're very tame here
Yeah.
in America. They are having a ball. So adding that music vibe, that pop culture, the dance, all of that, I really want to make baseball feel like a party. So when we have kids that are jamming out on those drums and just loving every minute of it, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
And that's when I have a whole lot of fun. Um, uh, I think specifically a fun moment I had with baseball growing up was I was in ninth grade, a freshman, and I made it. I got the big league call up to the varsity team, and I was the number 2 pitcher, and I got to throw the last pitch of the last game in the championship to win the state championship. And there's a picture of me with my arms up after that happened. And that moment of a lot of work, and uh, and just good friends coming together to win something big.
Mm.
That is fun, and that drives me to want to kind of create that type of a team over and over and over again. And yeah, there were great baseball players, but there were great men on that team, and great leaders. So I think if I can build uh, great people and great leaders, then they'll get to have that fun state championship, or
Hmm.
that world championship moment. Um, eh, I can't recall the head coach of. Um, well, it's losing me, but who won the College World Series last year?
Last year, I guess
Uh,
2 years ago then, huh?
yeah, it would have been 2 years ago. Some of your listeners are saying or screaming it right
Yeah.
now. Anyway, the head coach of that college, it's in Tennessee, I believe. Um, he's all about building the person. It's all the
Mm.
person, person, person. And then if they're a good person, then the wins are really going to come. So um, I'm having one of those dad moments where I forgot one of the best baseball colleges in America, but there you go.
Um,
So yeah,
well, it's funny
lots of
because
fun.
yeah, I'm a big Texas Rangers fan now. I when I was up here, they were terrible. But my wife and I had just gotten married. We lived close, so I would head over after the seventh inning and go get in free and just watch the end of the game. but I fell in love with them. So come 2010, 2011, when they make the World Series, there was something different about that team. I enjoyed them because I was able to watch them and I kind of knew the guys, Michael Young and Beltre and all that. But the one thing I kept on telling people on why they're doing so well and why they're going so far was the team chemistry and how much fun they had. I don't know if this is true, but I feel like they were kind of the first team to do all the signs when they get a hit. The claw and the antlers, and you could
Yeah.
just tell these guys were working together and they were just having fun. It was as simple as that, and it was very transparent for me watching. And so I tell that to a lot of kids, to my son playing. I'm like, just go have fun. Just go
Yeah.
have fun, and it makes a difference.
And then when you unpack that, when you unpack go have fun, and you unpack all of those funny signals that they give after a double or a triple, that came from each kid kind of getting to know each other. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and the way I do that with a new team is nicknames. We'll sit in a team meeting and I'll ask for their real name, and then I'll ask for their nickname. And then if they have a really good nickname, I'll say, "How'd you get that?" And then I'll ask what they had for breakfast. And if somebody doesn't have a nickname, we think about their favorite thing to do, or their, something they love. And based on that, we'll give them a nickname. But right out of the gates, you've got a story behind a
Mm.
face, and friendships are already starting to be built. So, yeah, when you build that camaraderie, and you get to know each other and get to know how each other ticks and what makes each other laugh, then there you go. You can have some fun. So,
Yeah, yeah,
your buddy loves reindeer. Well, you get on second base, you throw the reindeer antlers up, and it's going to make him laugh, and then it
yep,
becomes a thing. Then you got some really good locker room um, vibes going. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
man,
That,
absolutely.
that's so good, so good. Well, man, thanks so much for just talking with me about through those 5 questions. I could probably sit here and listen to your stories for a while. They're so fun, and I appreciate everything you're doing. But tell listeners where they can find you, where they can follow you online, and anything like that.
Yeah, Coach Ballgame. You can type those words into Google, and you'll find everything. CoachBallgame.com is where all of my camps are that you can register for in Orange County, and then it's got the social media: Instagram at Coach Ballgame, Twitter at Coach Ballgame, Facebook, YouTube, where I've got a lot of great videos with some MLB players, because I got to partner with MLB last year prior to COVID and make some
Mm.
content and run some play ball camps with them. So, um, uh, find me all over the place, even TikTok. I do some baseball dance videos and some instructional videos as well. So,
Cool.
um, I've got clothes and coloring books and an online uh, uh, kind of curriculum that I created, where it teaches parents how to teach these skills of
Mm.
baseball at each different age group, and then it's got a lecture coincides with it, kind of written out how you can engage the kid and how you can run an effective practice. So, um, I got my own podcast as well. I think that's good content for any parent out there who's trying to be a volunteer coach or wants
Mm.
to set a good tone for a team and run a good practice. So it's all out there, man. Coach
Cool.
Ballgame.
I love it. I love it. I appreciate it, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Thanks so much, buddy.
You bet. Well, thanks for tuning in to this episode with Coach Ballgame. Be sure to check out CoachBallgame.com, find him on any of the socials, and give him a follow. My big thanks to him. Just a lot of great stories. I hope it inspires you to go out and keep baseball great.